Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the 29th degree of Sagittarius, and yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, well, first thing up is 29 degrees in astrology can represent the full energy and culmination of the sign. This is something that can, give very amplified, expanded energy of the sign, giving the Sagittarius expanded, expansive energy, perhaps, and sometimes even distorted energy. Now, again, being Sagittarius, this could strongly amplify and enlarge the exuberant, enthusiastic, philosophical, blunt, tactless, even outdoorsy and sports-minded energy, and even adventurous energy and exploration. There may be much energy put into these things, and this could give a very strong jocular and jovial nature. Now, also, this could be very strong, intensified over-exuberance and enthusiasm. Now, I think 29 degrees of a sign can also give a strong procrastination and often waiting to the last minute. It is the last degree of a sign, so that's where I see that correlation and correspondence with that. Now, I call this like the inveterate procrastinator degree. 29 degrees of a zodiac sign could also be a degree of upheaval and crisis. And given that this is Sagittarius, this could be that person that might move from one country to another. It could be that restless meanderer, wanderer type person. And always, it could be a person that might have to constantly be taking flight due to crisis situations. And it could be that this could be also given being a degree again of upheaval and crisis. This could be upheaval, crisis situations, perhaps with people at a religious congregation. It could be constant changes in philosophical viewpoints, and even in some cases, some situations with the law, perhaps. Now, this person might become embroiled over controversy, over things that are published, perhaps. Now, in Sabian symbols, 29 degrees Sagittarius can give a very prodigious, self-reliant nature, and one that does not divulge too much about his or herself. I think a lot of this may have to do with the fact that it's in the Scorpio Dwad, this degree. Now, again, there could be a lot of suppression of personal information, and the endeavors chosen by this person may require a lot of persistent work and laborious effort. And this could be also a person about trying hard not to allow extraneous things to impact or interfere with what he or she is trying to attain or accomplish. Now, the person also may take on seemingly insurmountable tasks in an attempt to stick with them with much persistent and laborious effort, and also perhaps due to a very expansive and exceptionally optimistic nature. Now, if this is the Sun, perhaps working vigorously with over-enthusiasm and over-exuberance and expansiveness may take a toll on the vitality. Now, let's say in contrast, let's say this is the Moon. This could be more about over-enthusiasm, over-exuberance, might be more emotionally draining on the person, getting way too high. I don't mean drug high, but I mean high, elevated, having the spirits overly elevated, and putting too much expansiveness and enthusiasm and exuberance into something may take the toll on the emotional energy. Now, let's say if somebody has 29 degrees Sagittarius on the Ascendant, this energy may be expressed more outwardly and blatantly, and there might be much crisis with the physical body through many Sagittarius health issues, perhaps, such as problems with the hamstrings, the thighs, and the sciatic nerve, perhaps. Now, also, it's important to look at the house this falls in, as this could impact the delineation. Now, let's say, if it's the Ascendant, of course, that's the first house. But let's say, for example, that somebody has the Sun in Sagittarius in their fifth house in their natal chart. Now, this could be perhaps many losses through something of a speculative nature, perhaps being overly exuberant or optimistic over something over something speculative such as an investment where one might have simply been oblivious to the details. Now, another thing too, it's also important to look at the aspects that are made to this point in your if you have this degree in your chart, as this could impact the interpretation. Now, let's say with predominantly good or positive aspects, much of the positive energy of this degree may be expressed. The person may be an incorrigible, very strong incorrigible optimist, very jocular, jovial, have much expansiveness and positive energy, and always trying to see the positive aspects and things and be very exceptionally encouraging to others. Now, let's say, for example, the opposite is true, and let's say that the person has mainly adverse aspects to this point in their chart. Now, this could be somebody that might be rather foolhardy, might emphasize and accentuate a lot of that foolhardy and strong, reckless energy of the sign, and perhaps being very exceptionally over optimistic and enthusiastic about things. Now, again, and also maybe bringing out a lot of tactless and very exceptionally blunt qualities. Now, let's take another example. Let's say that if a sextile is or let's take a specific aspect example. Now, let's say somebody has this degree in their chart. It makes a sextile or trine to their north node. This could be a good blending of positive energy with a mission purpose with whatever the north node placement is, and really in bringing a lot of exuberant and positive energy into it. Could be very fortuitous as well, given that Sagittarius is the sign of good luck and fortune. Now, let's say, let's take another example. Now, let's say somebody has a Sagittarius 29 degrees at the sun, moon, or ascendant, and it makes an adverse aspect to their Venus. This could be a person that might experience financial difficulties due to foolhardy, reckless spending, where the person didn't show the ability to be judicious. Now, also, too, if you look at 29 degrees Sagittarius, say in predictive astrology, this could indicate perhaps the end of a religious or philosophical belief, or in some cases a completion or culmination of something connected with the law. It was law related, or a period of exploration may simply come to an end. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple people that have this degree or close to this degree. Now, you look at actor Sylvester Stallone, has his ascendant near 29 degrees Sagittarius. Now, as I've mentioned in previous videos, now that actors and actresses, I believe, often can be connected, or I should say, be drawn to roles that either on a conscious or subconscious level that may correspond with their astrological energies. I think actor Sylvester Stallone is simply no exception. Now, as many of you may know, he was in the Rocky movie series. Now, in those movies, I mean, at least on a number of occasions, it seemed like he would go up against another fighter where he would have to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds to conquer the opponent. Now, I think and he would find ways to do it. Now, I think a lot of this is this real, a lot of this very strong, perhaps inflated Sagittarius rising energy of his coming out close to 29 degrees. And a lot of that real expansive, that positive, that real expansive energy, and being and playing, doing something where he is playing an athlete, and Sagittarius can be connected with sports. So anyway. But on another note, which might be maybe somewhat positive, somewhat negative, now another person that comes to mind is the late college football coach Joe Paterno, who had his son at either 29 degrees Sagittarius or close to 29 degrees Sag, depending on time of birth. Now, the positive with Joe Paterno, of course, this could be, I mean, so I think sometimes 29 degrees can indicate, some kind of a strong fame or notoriety. And of course, Joe Paterno compiled an outstanding college football record in his illustrious career. However, it may be somewhat tainted because due to perhaps suppressing certain knowledge. I'm going to get to that. Now, the thing about this is many of you may have heard about that Jerry Sandusky situation where Jerry Sandusky was a former coach, and he of college football. He had been incarcerated, found guilty of some kind of deviant sexual behavior or molesting or what have you with underage kids. And according to one source, somebody had stated it was that Joe Paterno had known about this. It was reported to him, and that he had perhaps suppressed this information. Now, the thing about this is that I understand Sagittarius can be the incorrigible optimist, but perhaps Paterno was incorrigible. It's something we may not know 100% because I understand at the time there was an FBI investigation that was run, and it apparently from the conclusion of the investigation, when Sandusky was incarcerated in June of 2012, they felt that Paterno had suppressed that information. Now, the thing was, Joe Paterno had died earlier that year, so it's something where we may never know if he was going to face certain repercussions, more repercussions because of this. But the thing about this is, and even if Joe Paterno would not ever do any jail time, the thing was there would be certain consequences repercussions because of course he would be on and off, probably be inundated with questions from people, the media or what have you, social media, about if he had actually known about the situation with Sandusky or not. The point being, again, with this 29 degrees can be a degree of crisis upheaval. And remember that Sagittarius energy can be connected with higher education, college, and also the law. So he was in a situation, shortly prior to him passing, where he may have been embroiled to some degree in this situation with Sandusky. But the thing is, he died, of course, shortly before that Sandusky was found guilty, and it's something we'll never know whether Paterno would have faced much greater repercussions or not. But anyway, that's basically what I wanted to get at. So I think with Paterno, there was something positive, maybe being at or near 29 degrees Sun in Sagittarius, and maybe something very exceptionally negative or adverse connected with it. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for 29 degrees Sagittarius. Stay tuned next time, where I am going to be talking about the natal chart of Bill Nye. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.